Good morning. In today's class, we are going to do the poem Like as the Waves, uh, which is again a sonnet by Shakespeare. In the previous class, also, we studied a Shakespearean sonnet. Like the earlier one, it is also a love sonnet that vindicates the permanence of love over time and age. The poem, like the earlier sonnets by Shakespeare, is organized into three quatrains and a couplet in the end. The rhyme scheme of the sonnet is again A B A B C D C D E F E F G G for the couplet, like all the sonnets by Shakespeare. Well, each of the three quatrains of the sonnet gives a metaphorical depiction of time's impact upon human life. Yet the couplet, with a twist in the idea, establishes the supremacy of love as well as of art over time. So, if we talk about the theme of the poem, the theme of the sonnet is the inevitability of time and the crooked impact of time over the passage of human life, and at the same time it also talks about the immortality of love, the permanence of love and art. Let's look at the text of the sonnet. Here we can see the rhyme scheme also. The rhyme scheme for the first quatrain is A B A B, and for the second one is C D C D, and for the third one E F E F and G G for the couplet. So let's begin with the text. In the first quatrain, the speaker develops the idea of time's quick and speedy pace by using the metaphor of tide. So, as we can see, like as the waves make towards the pebbled shore, so do our minutes hasten to their end. So, like as the waves make towards the pebbled shores, like the waves moves speedily, quickly towards the pebbled shore, so do our minutes, so do our time hasten. Okay, they move very fast to their end, to their end. Each changing place with that which goes before, in sequent toil all forwards do contend. So, like the waves replace one another continuously, just like that, each changing place with that which goes before, every changing place, every changing thing that goes before our eyes, that goes before an human eye, in sequent toil all forwards do contend. In a very continuous labor, in a very continuous act, tries to forward fastly. Each changing place of human life, or each changing hour or minute of human life that replaces one after another, what does it do? It sequentially toil, it continuously labor to move forward very quickly. So the passage of human life is very short, and it passes very quickly. So what he's trying to say is, where that just like the waves pace forward one after another on the beach, so do our time or our minutes or our hours struggle forward to move continuously, to move towards its ends. What is the end of the human life? Is towards its death. Now let's move on to the second quatrain. Nativity, once in the main of flight, crawls to maturity, wherewith being crowned. Crooked eclipses against his glory fight, and time that gave doth now his gift confound. So now what happens? He is trying to, in the second quatrain, The speaker uses the metaphor of the sun to explain the rapidity of the passage of human life. So, what does he say? He says that like the sun crawls like an infant out of the sea in its infancy, in its childhood. So, human life in its at its birth crawls like an infant, and it reaches to its maturity when the human life reaches to its peak, when that infant becomes a young man or a young woman. So, like the sun, human life crawls like an infant out of the sea in its infancy, and it reaches to its maturity in the youth, in the young age. So, nativity means at birth. Once in the main of light, so human life is in the main, uh, in the center of the light, crawls to maturity, but by and by it crawls to maturity. The infant becomes mature, wherewith being crowned. Wherewith being crowned means when an infant or a child becomes mature, he is young or she is young. What he or she is supposed to be? He is supposed to be the king and queen of human life. So their youth, at the maturity of one's age, one is crowned with the crown of youth and beauty. So, but what happens after that? You can say ascending circle, half circle is complete, the arch of life is complete. What happens? Crooked eclipses against his glorified. Okay, when human life reaches to its maturity, it becomes young. A human being becomes young. Then crooked eclipses of time. Okay, the bad impact, the negative impact of time. What does it do? It against his glory fight. It fights against his glory. It fights against the glory of youth. And time that gave doth now his gift confound. And the gift, the crown of youth, the crown of beauty, which was given, which was a gift by the time, is taken away. It is snatched away by the time. Okay, after the human life or human body reaches to its peak, to its youth, then what happens? It starts, aging starts impacting it negatively. Okay, and the arch is supposed to come downward. Okay, so the journey now becomes the descending journey. Okay, and what happens then? Time that gave do now his gift confound. Time doth transfix the flourish set on youth. So at the young age, when the human life reaches its peak, what does time do? It transfix. Okay, it fixes the flourish set on youth. Youth cannot flourish or further. Okay, and it delves the parallels in beauty's brow, and it digs the lines. The parallels means the lines, the wrinkles in beauty's brow, and feed on the rarities of nature's truth. And what does time do? See, we all say that the best things in life or the best people in life are taken away very soon. So time feeds on, time takes away what? Time feeds on the rarities of nature's truth. So the best things, the rare things of nature's truth are taken away very soon. So in the third quatrain, what does the speaker say? He says that time transfix the prosperity of youth, the flourish of youth, and it digs parallels on its beauty, and it feeds on, okay, it eats the rarities of nature's truth. The rarity means the good health or beauty or the power. So everything which is the best created by nature is taken away by time very soon. And nothing stands but for his scythe to move, and yet to time in hope, and nothing stands but his scythe to move. So in the last line of the third quatrain, what does he say? He says that nothing stands but for his scythe to move. So everything that comes in front of his scythe, okay, scythe, the instrument by which we cut the crop, okay, and nothing stands but for his scythe to move. So everything is moved, everything is cut down by time's scythe. So in the third quatrain, what does the speaker says? The speaker says that he presents the metaphor of a monster where time is personified as a ruining monster who digs lines in beauty's brow and devours everything which is beautiful and best, and it destroys all that stands on his way, on the way of time. So in the first three quatrains, what we can see is that the speaker is establishing the supremacy of time over the human life. Okay, he is trying to convince the readers that time is very powerful and nothing can stand in front of front of the impact of time. Time is inevitable. The impact, the impression of time is inevitable, and time is supreme. The supreme force of nature is time. And let's look at the couplet. And yet to times in hope my words shall stand, praising thy worth despite his cruel hand. So like the other sonnets by Shakespeare, we can see a turn in the thought, a turn in the idea, where the speaker presents a twist. Okay, he comes up with a twist. He is trying to reverse his idea that he said earlier in his in the three quatrains, in the 12 lines. And what does he says in the couplet is that, and yet to time in hope my words shall stand. So now he is talking about the immortality of art, immortality of poetry. So see, poetry is supposed to be, every art is supposed to be immortal, permanent. That is why we are studying Shakespeare in 21st century. So what does he say? He says that he finds the way to defeat time, and he declares that the art, that his art, the art of his poetry, the art of his verse will live, will stand the scythe of time, and so will his beloved. So his beloved will also be living, will also be alive in his poems. And yet to times in hope my words shall stand. So he hopes that his verse, his poetry will stand the test of time. It will pass the test of time, and praising thy worth. And in the poetry, my verse will be praising your worth, okay, your abilities. And despite his cruel hand. Whose cruel hand? Despite the cruel hand of time, despite the cruel impact of time, my art, my poetry, and my love for you will stand,